Glacier National Park is known as the crown of the continent due to its many glaciers, meadows, valleys, and lakes. It contains over 700 miles of trails for hiking and enjoying the scenery. Glacier is located in northwestern Montana near Kalispell. It lies just south of the Canadian border where Alberta and British Columbia meet. Montana became our 41st state in 1889. It is our fourth largest state by area and our third least densely populated state. You don't have to drive far into the state to see why its nickname is Big Sky Country. The only two national parks located in Montana are a small section of Yellowstone and Glacier National Park. I stayed in a town near the east entrance to Glacier, so our first stop on our journey through Glacier is St. Mary Lake. It is here that the plains end and the Rocky Mountains begin, quite abruptly. St. Mary Lake is one of 700 lakes inside Glacier National Park. Of those 700 lakes, only 131 are named. St. Mary Lake is the second largest body of water within the national park. It is 10 miles long and is surrounded by huge mountain peaks on 3 of its sides and forested hillsides and plains on its east side. St. Mary Lake is on the eastern side of the national park near the entrance station and the beginning of the Going to the Sun Road, which we will talk about later. The eastern side of the national park is colder and windier than the western side, and this is evident by the constant strong winds and cold water which rarely rise above 50 degrees. In addition to enjoying the views, there is much to do here. There are hiking trails, boat tours, camping options, and fishing. There are also a few amenities here such as a gas station, some grocery stores, and a restaurant. St. Mary Lake is one of the top destinations to see in the national park and definitely something you will not want to miss. As we continue on into the park, we will take the Going to the Sun Road, one of the most famous drives in all of Glacier. Going to the Sun Road was completed in 1932. This road crosses the whole national park from east to west. The 50-mile, 2-lane road is well paved. Due to its elevation and the local weather, the road is typically open from just June to early fall, so plan your trip accordingly. The road is curvy and hilly and climbs to an elevation of 6,646 feet at Logan Pass, which is also the Continental Divide. You will travel through a full variety of terrain on this road. You'll see glacial lakes like Lake McDonald, forests, cliffs like the Garden Wall, tundras, and glaciers like the Grinnell Glacier. There are many pullouts along the road which offer opportunities for photography or to take in the spectacular vistas. I would recommend driving its length both eastbound and westbound, as the view on either side is worth the drive. It might make the drive more peaceful if you listen to a nature CD in your car or a classical album. Give yourself plenty of time, if not the whole day, for this drive, as it is rather lengthy and there is much to see along the way. To give perspective, it takes about 2 hours to drive this road without stopping. With much of the road being built along the mountainside, it can feel a bit tedious while driving, but if you drive slow and stay focused, you will be safe and will be better able to enjoy your drive. If you find yourself worried about mountain roads, don't worry. When you turn onto the Going to the Sun Road and begin your ascent, you'll be too distracted by the beauty of what you are seeing to be concerned about the road. Going to the Sun Road is a must-see when visiting Glacier, and is definitely not something you will want to miss on your visit. If you have only one day in Glacier, let it be spent driving this road. After crossing the Continental Divide at Logan Pass, you'll be about halfway to Lake McDonald and its lodge, the Lake McDonald Lodge. The lodge is a beautiful Swiss chalet-style lodge built in 1913. The lodge sits right on Lake McDonald, which is Glacier's largest lake, at 10 miles long and 472 feet deep. Lake McDonald is just a few miles from the west entrance to the park, so if you are coming from another nearby town like Kalispell, then this is the first thing you will see when entering the national park. Near the lake, you will find trails to hike on, as well as places to have a picnic lunch. The lake is similar to St. Mary as it is surrounded by mountains and forests, but it is definitely different enough to make it well worth the drive across the national park. Our last stop on our journey around Glacier is the Mini Glacier region. On your way to the area, you will first pass by Sherburne Lake. Sherburne Lake is a man-made lake created by damming the Swift Current Creek about 100 years ago. Here, there are hiking opportunities, wildlife viewing, camping, and various lake activities to partake in. Let's continue on further into the Mini Glacier region. The Mini Glacier Hotel is right on the shores of the beautiful Swift Current Lake. This hotel was built in 1915 by the Great Northern Railroad in order to accommodate the many tourists passing through the national park. Swift Current Lake has much to do. Other than taking in its one-of-a-kind views, you can rent canoes to explore the lake. You can hike, you can camp, and you can look for wildlife. Many people agree that the hikes at Swift Current Lake are some of the best in the park. Specifically, the Swift Current Nature Trail Loop is one of the best as it offers a different view with every step and is only 2.5 miles long. Once you get to the end of the lake, you will have access to Lake Josephine. There is a hiking trail around Lake Josephine that you won't want to miss. Like Swift Current Lake, every step you take will present a new picture opportunity. There is also a historic boat that you can sail on with a tour guide who will give you some of the history of the park and the lake. Seeing a bear here is not out of the ordinary, but don't worry, most bears are not aggressive. A park ranger told me that the bears of Glacier often have a berry diet as opposed to a fish diet as the bears in Alaska do. This makes them less aggressive, unless of course you get too close. I really enjoyed my trip to Glacier. This is definitely a national park I want to return to someday. I realize that not every American enjoys national parks, but I have to say, every American does need to see this national park. I say this for two reasons. One, it is hard to find another place in this country where you can see so many things that people consider to be breathtaking beauty, such as mountains, meadows, and crystal clear lakes all in one place. Another reason I say this is because the glaciers are melting rather quickly. It is hard for them to estimate exactly when they will be completely gone, but the park rangers were fairly confident it would be sometime within the next 30 to 50 years. There is still so much to see at this park, even when the glaciers are all gone, but unless you are from up north, there aren't too many of us who have seen a glacier in person, so it is a real treat to get to see one. On one of my tours, a visitor asked a park ranger if they are going to rename the national park once all the glaciers have melted. The ranger said that the NPS decided that they would not rename the park because so much of the mountains and valleys within the park were carved by glaciers, so glaciers will always have had an impact on the national park in at least some way. After visiting Glacier, I went north into nearby Canada to visit Waterton Lakes National Park. Waterton and Glacier are actually the world's first international peace park. I have another travel video I made of Waterton National Park that I will include in the description of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and sharing it with others. Or better yet, if you enjoy what you see here, go visit Glacier. You won't regret it.